Welcome back to SOG TV. Today we get to speak again with Austin Wayne Deaton of Caliseek Fitness, except this time we're going to take a little more deeper dive into the culture of his generation, the dating scene, and, wokeness and how it affects them, and stick with the end. And you may find out that we're not as screwed as you may think we are. A lot of Americans are really bad about not paying attention to the rest of the world, except for like mainstream media. We see something on the media, and everybody decides whether they're for or against based on what the media tells them they need to be doing. I mean, that's the way it is. And so, I like talking to people that's actually over in the area and finding out that, there really are Nazis in Ukraine. There are this stuff. It's like you don't get to hear about that down here. And I've been told that our media, which you were never a big fan of really paying attention to the media, which is not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't.
Yeah, I never watched the news,
stress.
anything like that.
Yeah. How did the whole COVID thing affect your training?
Well, initially, actually, it took a huge hit because everyone was losing jobs left and right, and I was actually in Ukraine at the time. That's a story in itself. That's why I was even in the Ukraine. But I was in the Ukraine, and so all these clients are losing their jobs. So they're like, "Oh, Austin, I cannot continue coaching with you." And so maybe a couple weeks, there's a lot of confusion. And then whenever it really hit, everyone's like, "Oh, like we're stuck at home. Like we can't go to the gyms. They're shut down. What are we supposed to do?" And then it's like, bam, bam, bam. That's whenever my business, because before that, I was just kind of messing around with it. Like, I never really had like a solid grasp on how to actually start an online fitness business. And I was just kind of messing around like a child, And then this happened. And then I started getting a lot more strategic about the type of people I would target for my potential clients until I eventually worked out a system to where I would be able to get clients, be able to get the results. And then obviously with COVID, it's like I don't even have to explain myself. It's just lots of people wanted to start working with me just because of the situation.
Yeah. I mean, that's a tough one. I mean, you like if at first, a lot of people didn't know how they were going to get paid. Then all of a sudden the government's throwing out cash like it's, candy. And so people are actually I know a lot of people that actually made more money during being locked down at home than they made at their jobs. And so they chose not to go back to work when they could have gone back to work simply because they were making more money and they didn't want to make the pay cut and have to work.
Yeah.
But
makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, I guess in a way I don't understand it so much just because I like working for my paycheck. And I know that it's eventually going to catch up to us and we're going to have to pay for it. Like now when we're having a dozen eggs, it's costing, $6. I mean, it's just, heck, we bought chickens. We have hens now, so we don't pay for eggs, which is way, I don't know if you eat natural foods or if you still eat grocery like everybody else, but I can't eat regular eggs anymore. I can't go to the store and buy eggs because it's disgusting. Because there's a huge difference between natural and not natural.
Oh, yeah.
But y'all, over there, overseas, y'all have a lot more stricter guidelines, like for GMOs and stuff, don't you?
A lot of countries do, like especially Europe. Like Europe is very strict. Like whenever I was in Ukraine, the food was very healthy there. Indonesia, there's less rules. I would almost say it's similar to America in that regard.
Yeah.
Like they allow GMOs, stuff like that, but it's actually interesting. Oh, what were you saying?
No, I was just agreeing with you. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah. No, I was just going to say it's interesting, like how many misconceptions there are, like with people, especially living in America, like how they see the rest of the world. Because a lot of people, like if I say I live in Indonesia or Bali, they assume like you live in almost like a teepee and like you don't have modern amenities. It's kind of interesting.
Kind of like telling people you live in Oklahoma and they're from New York. They think that you live in the teepee or something like that.
It's funny. It's like Yeah, it's the same version. If you tell people from Oklahoma you live in Indonesia, that's
Yeah.
what people from New York picture about the people in Oklahoma.
Yeah, see, and most people aren't worldly. They really don't ever have that opportunity. I had a friend from high school that he literally has never been out of the state of Oklahoma at that time. You know,
Oh
he
wow.
has now, but he's only gone as far as like Arkansas. But I'm like, how do you
Yeah.
do that? Because I've been all over the states, and it's amazing. I mean, like I went to Pennsylvania in the fall, and I mean, it was gorgeous. I'd never seen. Well, I thought I'd seen pretty places because Oklahoma does have some really beautiful areas.
Oh yeah.
But you know, but to go across, like I've never been across the border. I've never been into a different country, but I know just from talking to other people that they look at us different than a lot of people look at ourselves. You know, it's funny that you know people will bitch and complain about things, and you know, and then other countries will say like, no, you have it great. You know, you
Yeah.
but then they'll think that like our food is better, and I'm like, oh, America's food is worse than most countries. I mean, like you can't even
Yeah.
Skittles. I was reading an article the other day that Skittles isn't even allowed to sell in like Germany or you know Europe and stuff like that. The same way that they can't produce it the same way as they do in America because America uses a chemical that's actually a toxin that could kill you if you had it in large quantities. You know, but in
100%.
Europe, you know, they do have Skittles, but they have it naturally or a lot more natural. And there was a guy I was talking to from Germany. He said, yeah, they taste way different. They're way better in Germany, but it costs
Yeah.
Skittles more money in there. And, you know, it's the politics. We have, you know, America, which I'm sure you might, I don't know. You've never been really big into watching politics, which again, I kind of envy. I think it's, you know, in a way
Yeah.
it's as long as you're not voting, I mean, it's smart because you're going to be a lot less stressed. But it's the people that don't pay attention to politics and then vote, and all they're doing is voting on who's the most popular person. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. Like who their friends are voting for, just stupid stuff.
Yeah, and so you end up in
Yeah.
getting people that it's like everybody hates this person, but nobody can tell you why. You know, or they'll tell
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
why, and it actually has nothing to do with the truth, but that's what everybody
Yeah.
says, and so they just believe it. And it's like
Yeah.
you'd think people are
It's crazy.
smarter.
Yeah. Just
Do you have to deal
no
with
critical thinking skills.
No, none at all. People
Yeah.
aren't worldly
Yeah.
in America. Unfortunately, we watch on the
No.
news and we think, oh, look at this. I know about this country because I've read about it. And I
Yeah.
mean, granted, I've never been in another country, but talking to people, I mean, I dated a Russian teacher when I was a police officer. She was in America
Oh
for
wow.
a work study visa or something like that. She taught English as a second language. And
Yeah. Yeah.
the way she described Russia was nothing like people think. Now, they do have a lot of really attractive women, at least from what I've
Oh yeah. I
seen.
know.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, they
My
just
girlfriend's Russian, so
okay. I see. I mean, they are. I mean, yeah, the one
yeah. Yeah.
you sent the picture the other day. Yeah,
Yeah.
she's
Yeah. I can
really
send you a
attractive.
photo if you want to attach a photo.
Yeah. Send me a photo. A couple of them. You don't have to be in it though. I mean, it's fine. I don't need you in
Okay.
it.
I have a photo. I have a photo with her twin sister as well. If you want that.
Oh wow, that's
Yeah.
interesting. You shut up now. Basically, I'm married. I live vicariously through you, but I
Oh
tell
my
my wife
gosh.
about it.
That's
I'm
good.
like, well,
That's
right
good.
now
Healthy
I'm dating this
relationship.
hot Russian chick in over in Indonesia right now. She's like, really? I was like, yeah. I mean, I don't get to talk to her, see her, anything. She doesn't even know my name, but she calls me Austin. But
I'll
but
start
no,
sending
man,
you videos from my POV point of view.
that's funny.
Just holding hands, going to the beach.
That's awesome. I'm walking down the beach, honey. I don't have time to take out the laundry or take out the trash or do the laundry or anything.
You have a
busy at the
VR
beach.
set on.
Yeah. like, honey, why'd you buy all this money for this VR set? Be quiet. I'm living right now. No, I'm happy in my life now. I'm glad I made the decisions, but man, to be young again.
Oh man.
That's why I was telling my wife the other day, I was like, you got to know I love you, because I was really great at being single. I mean, I was like, you can do a lot when you're single. I'm like, so I gave up all that because I wanted to, so luckily we have a trusting relationship, because a lot of people don't have trusting relationships. But I have noticed that now I can only compare it from like this one experience from dating that one Russian girl, that they're a lot more open to things. They're a lot wilder than a lot of people are, like in the Bible Belt of Oklahoma.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
the world is, man. Like everyone is very different than Oklahoma, but it's kind of my generation as well. Like I'm kind of a part of the social media generation, and it's just full of degeneracy everywhere, And obviously, a lot of people appreciate it, but I think it could be a bit much, in my opinion, even.
Yeah, I trying to get onto social media and stuff, because it's Facebook was literally me and Mark Zuckerberg went to school at the same time. We were in college at the same time.
Oh wow!
So I mean, we didn't have, we had MySpace, and and it was new and it was neat. I didn't even like Facebook when it first came out, because I'm like, you can't even add music to it. It didn't make any sense. You couldn't customize it or anything. But nobody did it, and then it suddenly got into it. I mean, that was back when you if you did online dating, it was a weird thing. I mean, heck, I met my wife online. Because it turned into where it was a common thing. But yeah, a lot of people are. You've got this weird dynamic of, there's great stuff because we overcame a lot of, there was a lot of prudeness that, a lot of unacceptance that wasn't right. But then there's this whole generation of wokeness that it's like, that's not really being awake. That's just literally hating people that's not like you, and then screaming about it and yelling intolerance, and social media gives them this huge echo chamber, and then all these big techs will, they've got, well, we're going to segregate you. You're only going to be around people that talk like you do. But if you don't talk the way we want you to talk, you're not going to be able to talk. Oh, yeah. It's like, what we see on, I've told people, I'm like, listen, I was like, all liberals aren't like what we see on TV, and all, conservatives are not like what we see on TV. In fact, most people are a little more to the center.
Well, we're all just humans, Yeah. We're all humans. We have different viewpoints, everything.
You're still in your mid-20s, right?
Yeah, mid-20s.
Okay, I was thinking that. So I mean, y'all had social media in high school and everything, didn't you?
Yeah, closer. But most of my childhood, I never had social media. So it's mostly more of like my later teens. So it's more recent. But I feel like, especially relationships nowadays, because it's completely different to all the relationships you've ever had your entire life. Now it's like whenever you date a woman, it's like you're dating this woman, but then she posts a photo and 100 different guys that potentially want to be with her are also liking this photo. They're DMing her. And it's same for you too. You have all these women trying to message you, or they're liking your photos. And so it gives everyone nowadays the illusion of all these choices, when in reality, obviously, like if you have too many choices, it's going to be very difficult to commit to one person. And so that's where the degeneracy kind of comes into play.
I'd imagine y'all's divorce rate is probably higher than ours.
Oh yeah, well, your guys'
our divorce rate is bad.
Well, currently the divorce rate is almost 60%. I imagine my generation, because no one's really married, like we're in our mid-20s, like no one's really getting divorced yet. I imagine 10 years, I wouldn't be surprised if it's like 10 to 20%. Like I really don't see most marriages lasting.
Yeah. See, and it's weird because a lot of people that I've knew were married in their early 20s. But that's because we didn't have all the choices. We didn't, when you got with somebody, you were with them and you worked it out. You didn't always have an option in your back pocket. You never thought about it. I've never thought about leaving my wife. During arguments and stuff, it's like, we just fix it. We work it out. You know, it's when things aren't able to be fixed. And I understand there's going to be times like that, but now it's like everybody has all these pseudo options and they realize that they're unhappy. I've met a lot of people that are in their 30s that have been single for a while, and they're complaining because they can't find a man, or find a woman. And I'm like, well, you had one.
Yeah.
You just let them go.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, it's
But
the hardest too. I think it really highlights. Do you know the term hypergamy?
No.
Oh, really?
What's it
Okay.
mean?
So essentially, it's just like female nature. It's like how naturally through evolution, woman will always monkey branch to the man of like the highest value. So the man with the most resources, the man who's going to have the best genes. They typically, and they'll leave the man that they're currently with to try to monkey branch to that guy. But let's say before social media, like the woman even coming across these type of like very high value men, it would be very rare to even have the opportunity like that. But now it's like they get into a relationship and then they have 1,000 other guys who look like they're that guy, or they're like this high value man on social media. I mean, some of them might be, some of them might not be, but either way, it just creates a lot of confusion. And so just committed relationships are worse now than ever before, I think.
Yeah, see, I couldn't. I have a buddy who got divorced like a year or two ago, and he was dating, and he's a little bit older than you, but not a whole lot. He was telling me about dating, and he said, "Man, it's actually hard. It's easy to get a date." He said, "But it's like girls now. When he goes on a date, he's like within 30 minutes they're trying to sleep with him.
100%. Yeah, every single time. No, yeah, it's hard to not, like, if you try to make her wait at least like 2-3 dates, they lose interest. Like they want to sleep with you on the first date and then not even speak to you again. It's weird.
Yeah. See, I actually had a rule when I was younger that I'm like, if a girl slept with me like quickly, then I didn't want to be in a relationship with her because she was probably doing that with other people. Not that I was
that's actually one of my rules as well.
Yeah, I mean, because it's just like you don't have any self-control, and you don't have any self-worth. Because that kind of stuff, and I'm not getting all. It's not my conservative or it's not being like a bunch of Christian values or anything. I mean, I didn't grow up a Christian, and I still I don't consider myself the same type of Christian other people are. But regardless, it's literally just it's kind of like being a good person doesn't matter what kind of religion you are. It's just universal. There's some universal things, and one of them is self-worth, self-control. It says a lot. If you can hold off doing something, it means that you have control over yourself. And if you can't, it comes into the relationship.
100%. 100%. Yeah. And it's just the value as a whole too, because it's like if a door can be opened with any key, you can go into a drawer and 100 keys, just grab any key and it unlocks the door. It's not a very good lock. It's not a very good door. And so it's worthless, like who's going to want the lock on that door? But a lock that like no one can open, like it's the hardest lock to break. It's very difficult. And then you have the one special key that can unlock this door. Then all of a sudden this lock is very special, especially to you. And so it's the value. And a lot of modern women, and they just give it up for everything. And this isn't men versus woman type thing. It's just morality type thing.
Yeah, I think it goes both ways. It's funny. When I was younger, they would, women would always think that guys can, if a girl sleeps around, she's a whore, but if a guy sleeps around, he's a player. But we didn't look at that like it was a good thing. It was. I've always looked at guys just the same way as I'd look at a girl that just slept with anybody. I'm like, dude, come on, man. Yeah. I mean, even at the height of my singlehood, I mean, I was a lot looser than I probably should have been, but I didn't just sleep with anybody, and I wasn't talking to girls just to do that. And it's like that's what it's literally legitimately a game now. People just want to see who they can sleep with, how many they can sleep with. I mean, it's just, I'm like, wow. I'm like, you don't get that back, right? I mean, and
Yeah.
you lose value, and it actually transfers into the relationships because you expect, you're like, man, I'm going to be with this one person for the rest of my life, and now they're cheating on them.
Yeah.
It's no
Yeah.
loyalty.
They get bored. Yeah, they get bored instantly as well. It's
Yeah,
going to be very interesting seeing how this generation ages, especially, like getting old. Like, let's
yeah,
say you're in your 50s, 60s, 70s, all these strong, empowered women, they don't want to have children. All these men just want to be players their entire lives. Everyone's going to be very lonely once they're old, man.
yeah,
Like, they're not going to have very fulfilling lives, like just seeking pleasure and never even building anything purposeful in their own lives and their personal lives with their relationships. And it's going to be very, very rough on them. It'll hit them eventually, but not at the moment.
yeah. I mean, I can envy like what you're doing, your lifestyle and stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
it's actually wonderful. It's great, especially for your age. But to do that your whole
Yeah.
life, I mean, it's a natural urge to want to create another version of yourself. I mean, it is most people, but you're right.
100%. Yeah.
A lot of younger people are not having kids. They just don't want to, or I
Yeah.
was watching this interview yesterday that they were talking about, the pro-choice movement is actually, killing themselves because they're not having kids. And so eventually they're getting
Yeah.
smaller when the other group is actually getting larger because they do have their children, and I'm
It's
not going to
natural
get into,
selection.
yeah, I mean, I'm not going to get into which one, what's right, what's wrong and stuff. I mean, because I try not to show my opinion about things like that because I want people to feel free to say their opinion because I'm not going to judge you or hate you as long as you're not hurting somebody.
Yeah.
But I like to understand why and everything. And so I watch these things and it's like, you're right. It's natural selection. I'm like, you're literally, going to eventually come to a point where it's not sustaining. I mean, look at China. I watched something last night that, they, because they went so long with limiting how many kids they can have and then made it
Yeah.
where primarily males in 10 years, because they just relaxed it. In 10 years, they're not going to have people taking care of the elderly, and they're not going to have enough people making money to
Yeah.
support anything and to buy commodities and everything. And they're going to just have a bunch of people that are dependent on people that can't take care of them.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
But
very, very silly way to, I don't know. I feel like the way most of the modern society is set up just doesn't make much logical sense.
no, and all sides.
No.
Don't get me wrong. I mean, that's why I don't.
Yeah.
I might be a constitutional conservative typically, but there are things that I'm not at all conservative. But it's because I think we should. I don't like being. That's why I won't call myself like a Republican or a Democrat or anything like that. I have to register something just to be able to vote in certain elections, but
Yeah.
but I don't like to be labeled anything. That's why I said I don't even really like calling myself a Christian, just because people automatically assume everything about you. I mean, and with social media, if
Yeah.
you say it on social media, say something, people are now they'll cancel you. They'll quit following you because you happen to say one thing that they didn't agree with.
Oh yeah, and it might not even be something that you said. Like I'm not sure if you ever saw this, but the actor Chris Pratt, he was
Yeah,
following the churches, and different pastors, stuff like this. And he follows a lot of people too. They tried to cancel him for following the churches and what the churches might have said. He never even said a word, and then they were trying to cancel him just for following people on
yeah.
a social media app. It's crazy.
It's ridiculous. I was, and it's not just, honestly. It's a lot of people like to blame the left. That's like that, and they typically people because they're the social justice warriors that do the
Yeah.
canceling. But I was a part of I was reading this string of comments. I don't know what y'all call it, but if somebody commented on something, And
Okay.
they judged this person because they were associates with this other pastor that said something that they didn't agree with. And because this person didn't rebuke what they said, they were judging them. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like,
No,
it's
it
like
doesn't make sense.
if your buddy said, I hate all women, and
Yeah.
you didn't say, well, he shouldn't have said that. Now I hate you because you didn't say he shouldn't have said that. I'm like, what kind of logic is that?
Yeah, it's no logic. Just it's stupid. Yeah.
People have gotten,
I think it. Oh no! What were you saying?
I was just saying people have gotten dumb.
Yeah, very dumb. I think it's just well, it comes down to a couple of things. I think it's just brainwashing, being told what to do, how to think, all of this. And then the biggest thing I think is lack of purpose. Nobody has any greater purpose. Like think about it. Every generation before us, like we've always had some sort of great war, some sort of great depression. Like everyone kind of contributes their part to society, to the world. And now it's like they think them contributing to society is being a social justice warrior rather than actually having true purpose and actually fighting for something and believing in something. There's nothing. And so they're just trying to claw and look for something that gives them a sense of meaning. They don't actually believe any of it. And that's why, like they'll try to cancel people and attack people. They don't know a single thing that they did. Like if you ask people who hate Andrew Tate, why do you hate Andrew Tate? Why do you hate this guy? They're like, I don't know. Like they cannot think of a specific example. They just want to hate him because everybody else does.
Yeah. Yeah. I had a conversation with a girl the other day. I posted this thing about, I was very clear as one of my older videos, well, not real older because I'm not that old, but my videos are.
Yeah.
But it was even, it's called sexualized drag shows, for children. And I even made it very clear in the whole thing that I'm not against LGBT. I don't care if you're a drag queen. I don't care. None of that. I mean, I don't have problems with drag shows, but when you invite it, but when it's a sexualized drag show with children, I do have problems. Just the same problem I would if somebody took their kid to a stripper or they had somebody come to the house to show them what, sex looks like by having them stripped down and stuff for kids. That's called lewd and indecent conduct in the presence of a minor child. And that's a felony, but this person was, this person was sitting there arguing that and then got political about things. And then, brings up the January 6th, which I was there. It's nothing you saw on TV. I mean, all the evidence even proves police officers invited people in. Nobody was armed. I'm like, what kind of insurrection is this? But, one person, I mean, despite what the media likes to say, only one person actually died there. And that was Ashley Babbitt, who got shot. The officer that they claim 5 people got killed. No, not 5 people got killed. 5 people died later, but had nothing to do with the actual insurrection. But anyway, regardless of that, I'm like, I said, she was trying to claim that nobody on the left is violent. I was like, there were literally there was like 214 people that have died in riots, this past year with Antifa and BLM. It was like, and I'm not saying anything like, I know some people that truly believe in BLM, but they don't realize what BLM is. They don't know. They just think it's, supporting Black lives and people that believe in Antifa, they're like, well, it's anti-fascist. I'm like, you don't fight fascism with fascism. By shutting other people up. But this person legitimately didn't know and said, well, I've never heard of any kind of violence by BLM. I was like, did you not hear about Chaz? They literally shutting down a city and people got killed in it, or they burnt down a police department with police officers inside. None of that mattered because they only listen to the side they want to hear and cancel everybody else. So they don't even get to hear that news. And so they assume, and so it just gets worse. And so they end up, I kind of feel bad for them because they don't hear it and they don't want to hear it because people hate hearing that somebody believes differently than them.
Yeah.
And me,
because
You've heard me. I mean, I'm not politically correct. I will make fun of you. I say things that could be taken way wrong, but I assume you know my heart. You know the way I really actually mean that I'm just joking and stuff. And if you don't, then that's your problem, not mine. But that can't work in society now. These younger people, they just get their feelings hurt. They get triggered, and you're supposed to change.
Yeah. Well, what I've actually noticed is that I feel like we are actually the majority. You know, like there's a lot more masculine men than we actually think there are. There's a lot more men who resonate with content like this. And I think that it's just being suppressed. You know, like the people who, like the social justice warriors, they get the spotlight, like they get the highlight because that's what they want to use to try to control everybody. They want to try to create the illusion that there's nobody fighting against this, no one disagreeing with the system, and that everyone's just the social justice pansies because that's just what they're trying to portray. I mean, have you ever heard the quote by William Shakespeare pretty much saying that the entire world is a stage?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty much, yeah. I think a lot of stuff, especially the last 3 years, a lot of this stuff has just been planned out. It's been like one big movie, and no one actually knows how much of this has been real, how much of it has been fake. And obviously we can't say anything specific or else this dire podcast will get shut down. But
yeah, I have interviews that I can't post because of that, because people, because they said an opinion or they said their facts, that they actually have legitimate facts, and they'll get shut down for it. I mean, I know I'm without even saying it, the details about it, that doesn't actually matter. If there was some kind of thing that happened medically out there and it became in the public, and there was a couple of doctors that spoke up and said, hey, we tried this and it's working. Wouldn't it behoove all the other doctors to say, did it? Well, let us try it. And the government says, let's do some studies on it. That would make sense, right? Yeah. Well, not now, because now it's like, and people didn't even notice this. It's like, oh, because this person said that's stupid, then therefore that's stupid. Oh, because some famous guy, some famous actor who is an actor interviewed a person that was a doctor 40 years ago. He said that that's stupid, so therefore it's stupid. And it's like, but it was legitimate doctors saving legitimate lives. And they didn't care. They just said, well, let's not do this. And people risked their own lives to just believe the side they wanted to believe, because the majority, what they thought the majority, and you're absolutely right. I rarely meet people that agree with the whole woke culture. And it's not the people that I just hang out with, because I talk to all sorts of types of people, because I'm not going to hate you because of what you believe, as long as you're not hurting people. That's really, I trust people. I have a friend that we disagree about everything, and we just don't talk about politics or anything like that, because we know it's not going to go anywhere. But I believe that he means well. Do I think he's an idiot? Yeah. But so you can think I'm an idiot. I'm not going to get upset about it. But people feel like you're not supposed to think somebody's stupid. You're not supposed to think badly of somebody.
Yeah, it's just everyone's heart at the end of the day. And the beliefs, it really doesn't make too much of a difference, because if you were to look from someone else's perspective, their life experiences, how they were raised, their parents' beliefs, and their same shoes, you would probably have very similar beliefs, So you really can't judge anybody too harshly on what their beliefs are. Yeah.
I was having a conversation with I've had this conversations with several different Christian friends that were hating on Muslims and saying that they needed change, or else they were going to hell. And they would approach a Muslim and they'll talk to them with the Bible and stuff. I'm like they just can't put things in their own in a different perspective. I'm like, listen, I was like, if a Muslim came to you and said that if you don't, read this and read the Quran and start following Muhammad, then you're going to end up going to hell. Are you going to change? I'm like, is it going to do anything for you? I was like, they grew up their whole lives with this belief system, and you're thinking that they need to change right away because they just met you and, you know what's best for them. I'm like, you don't. I mean, it's just, and it's funny because that's not even the way Jesus did things. But, but people, it's like they don't care because their pastor said to do this, or this Christian said to do this, or this person said to do this. It's like they don't even care what the reality of the thing is. It's like, and I've said it before. I was like, God didn't die in 389 AD, and there were actually Christians prior to 389 AD. But people, and that's when the Bible was put together, the original Bible.
Okay.
And, which is almost 400 years after the death of Jesus. And a lot of the scripts didn't even write it until after, way after Jesus died. But I'm like, you can't. And so I try to get people to understand what somebody else is thinking, not necessarily so you will believe them or that they're right. I try to make a good practice not to tell somebody they're wrong about their personal beliefs. Especially when it comes to like spirituality, stuff like that, because it's a personal belief. It's just you're making, what you've experienced, what you've seen, what you've heard, what you've researched yourself. That all comes into play, and a lot of people have you grew up in the Bible Belt. A lot of people grew up so strong about it that they feel like they're disowning God by even thinking about a different belief system, by even questioning anything, and which is dangerous.
Very intense. Yeah, it's very dangerous.
I mean, how many people said, don't take the Lord's name in vain? And if you say, God damn it, and you're like, and I'm like, that's not God's name, one, and two, that's not what it means, but they don't know. They have no idea why they say this. But they refuse to. I'm like, there were gods. The word God it existed before Christianity. It just did. And I know people that will. I know people that. Let me get better words. I have found that the extreme left and the extreme right are very much similar. They just have a different belief system, but their tactics are the same. Their thought process is the same. Extreme, very religious people, I call them the Pharisaical Christians. They're just as adamant as the leftists we see that are canceling everybody. Yeah, they believe in freedom of speech as long as it's their speech.
Yeah, no, it's exactly that. Like even Elon Musk, like he took over Twitter recently. And he wanted to create a free speech platform. And then he started deleting accounts who would say the opposite of the accounts that were getting deleted before, or people who would post photos of him in like an unflattering light or talking crap about him. And so it's like, I like Musk, but it's kind of a very similar ideology, but just on the complete opposite spectrum.
Yeah, that's why I try to explain, because people, especially young generations like you, were probably taught in school that we're a democracy. A lot of people are. We're not a democracy. Sure. America's not a democracy. It's never been a democracy. A democracy is majority rules. Do you know what kind of hell we'd live in if the majority ruled? I mean, it would. No, we're actually a constitutional republic. I mean, think of do you remember the Pledge of Allegiance?
Yeah.
Okay. It says, for the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, for the republic. We're a republic. We're a constitutional republic. And that means that, like, in a democracy, people will vote whether something can happen or not happen, or they get punished or not punished, stuff like that. So it's the majority rules. In a totalitarianism or something like that, like Elon Musk, him being the guy, he can make whatever rules he wants, but with a constitutional republic, you actually have a written set of rules that limit the ability of the federal government. So no matter what anybody says, this is what has to happen. It can't violate this. And then if you want to amend something, you have to have like a absorbent amount of people agree that this needs to be changed. So it allows for change. So, when people say, well, the Constitution is an old piece of paper, well, yeah, but it literally gives you a way to change everything about it, except the first 10 Bill of Rights, because it says they're inalienable. Inalienable rights means that they're rights that if you believe in God, there were rights that God gave you. If you don't believe in God, they're rights that you were born with. Just because you're born and alive means that you have these rights. So if you have the freedom of speech, I don't care where you're from. I don't care if you're not from America. I don't care if you're an illegal immigrant. You have the freedom to say things, to express yourself. Freedom to bear arms, the right to bear arms. It legitimately says that you have the right to bear arms. Everybody does, meaning that everybody has the right to defend themselves up to the capacity of what the government can defend themselves with. That means everybody. It's like I don't like illegal immigration. Immigration is great. That's sustainability. We need immigration, but illegal, it's hard to track. Could you imagine people just owning a business and people just walking in there and start working?
Yeah,
you have no idea.
It's crazy.
Who they are.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what people are saying, that's okay. That's not okay. And then what if they're stealing things? What if even if they're not stealing, even if they are working, what about this other person that's been trying to get on this job forever and can't now because this person now has that job? It's just, that kind of stuff. But that same person, that illegal, they still have the right to bear arms. They still have the freedom of speech. They have the right to due process, stuff like that. That is everybody. And it's because they don't teach that in school anymore that people don't realize this stuff. They don't know anything about the Constitution. The Bill of Rights were actually written in a particular order for a particular reason. They believe the number one right everybody has is their own belief system and the ability to express it. And then they believe that you had to have guns to protect that belief system and everything. Why? Because they lived in a country that, it was one type of Christian. That was the type of country they lived in, and you had to believe in that. And most of the founders were believers. They were Christians of some sort, but they believed that everybody should have the right to believe in whatever they wanted to, as long as they weren't hurting other people.
Yeah,
and
that makes sense.
If it was a democracy, like right now, could you imagine living in a woke society and the only people that happened to vote were woke people? Or even if wokeness overcame, and I don't mean, a lot of people like to confuse it. I don't mean woke versus awake. Being awake is good. Being spiritually awake is good. Being woke,
it's different.
That you're canceling anybody that doesn't believe in exactly what you believe in. That's not.
Yeah, it's just the woke culture. It's the name,
Yeah, I mean, it's just and it breeds hate. I've talked to people. I don't know if you've had these conversations, but people that normally weren't racist towards anybody, weren't prejudiced towards anybody, has gotten where they don't like certain groups because they're assuming that certain group believes a certain way, and they're think they're better than them. And it's like they don't like that, and so now they're judging them. So it's breeding hate.
Yeah, it's just creating separation, just completely unnecessarily. When in reality, the biggest thing, it should be us, the people, versus the government. We give the government power, but the government, obviously, they've gotten very good, especially the last couple of years more than ever, to split everybody down and divide them. And obviously, it's just the oldest divide and conquer. It's like everybody's fighting each other, and then they don't realize, oh, hey, this government is telling us what we're allowed to do. They're telling us what's allowed in our bloodstream. They're putting rules on our bodies that have no place being there, because that's actually taking away people's freedoms. You can't go here, you can't do this unless you do this. That is a restriction of basic human rights, and that's complete control. But no one even saw it because everyone's so divided. Everyone's BLM, everyone's fighting, everyone's doing all of this when they never even saw their rights being taken away. So if and when something else to the next degree happens, it's people have already done it, like they've already given up their power. It's kind of like a abusive relationship. It's like after, let's say, an abusive husband hits the wife again, after it's over, it's probably going to happen again if she allowed it and nothing bad really happened.
Yeah. Yeah, we're rewarding the misbehavior, and the media and has gotten people so controlled. People don't realize they're controlled. Last night, we finally you don't pay attention to politics. The House of Representatives has been trying to get a Speaker of the House, and this guy McCarthy has been wanting it, and so he's been running for it. And they keep getting up to votes, and usually it's literally goes through one vote, and they get a new Speaker. This time it went through 15 rounds of voting to get him elected. Wow. And people were bitching about it and making fun of the right, saying, oh, they're not organized, they're not unified, stuff like that. When actually that was a good thing, because he wanted to be in power instead of just handing over him power, because Speaker of the House is actually one of the most powerful parts. It's more powerful than the president. You know, it's a very powerful position. They literally decide what committees get seen. You saw how Trump was constantly getting investigated. Well, that was the Speaker of the House. She had control over that. Okay. And so she was having that happen. And you notice how Biden didn't get any investigations on him, even though he had been doing backyard shady stuff with Ukraine for years. And, and involved with China. Nobody ever investigated it,
or no one even asked difficult questions to Biden.
No, just softball questions. And that was because the Speaker of the House didn't want him to get in trouble. Well, that's how powerful that position is. Well, it went through 15 rounds. Well, it's a negotiation. So these people were saying, we're not going to vote you in unless you do this, 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 and this. And this happens. They got everything because they wanted it. It's more of they call it a Patriot Party Republican. It's somebody that wants it more of the way the Constitution was designed, instead of giving all this power and no oversight, and not checking in on things. They said we want to do this. So it's good when you see the government arguing with each other. It's a good thing. Now, when you see them name calling, that kind of stuff, that's bad. I think it's horrible. I don't do mudslinging, but when you're actually negotiating and trying to get something good happen, a good government is a slow government. Things don't change fast, because if they change fast, that means that things can tear fast. Things can break fast. You want it to be built slow. The best supercars, like the what is it? The Acura has that what is it called?
NSX.
Yeah, NSX. It's literally built by hand. It's a slow process. Because it's, the mass produced vehicles, they break down constantly all the time. Yeah. We bought a vehicle in September. It was only 2.5 years old, and it's been in the shop since September, because it's mass produced. It's a Chrysler product.
Yeah. It's kind of like that with dating as well, man. If you get if you try to date a woman that you hooked up with, it probably won't last very long. But if you build a relationship, you go on dates, you take it one step at a time. There's boundaries, there's respect. That's building upon a foundation, and that will probably last much longer.
100% agree. My first wife, we didn't date for very long, and we got married. My second wife, she was my friends with benefits. Seriously. We were just messing around, and I would literally go on a date after messing around with her. I was single, but I was honest. I told her that was our agreement. I said, I don't want to be in a serious anything. And we ended up getting serious in a relationship, and it didn't last, because it quit being good right before we got married, and we were married for 4 years. And so, because you didn't build that foundation. People don't want to build foundations. They want things right now. And it's like you have to work for it.
Yeah,
like,
it takes work.
Your business right now, your coaching business, you didn't just start making a lot of money or good. You had to screw up a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. People are afraid to screw up.
Yeah, you have to have savings. You have to slowly build things up. You have to have the skill set too. Like I've seen people literally try to copy my business just overnight. Like they don't have a physique. They've never trained anybody. And they just think that they can do it out of the blue. And then even the same with fitness. Like that you see someone they have the body of a Greek god. They look like a superhero, whatever it is. And people don't want to train 10 years consistently. They don't want to diet consistently. And so obviously they take alternative routes to get the physique much quicker. And it's not sustainable. You take stuff like that, you're not going to sustain that physique for very long. You're going to shorten your life expectancy, everything.
Yeah. I've known people that, as soon as they quit, they were shooting up, doing roids, and whenever they quit, because it will kill you if you don't stop eventually.
100%.
They got fat.
Yeah,
I mean,
they
have
fat. They age like. Yeah, it's crazy. I've seen 20-year-olds are on roids. They look 40. Like it's not good for you whatsoever.
Already bald and everything. I'm like, come on, man.
Yeah.
I'm like, of course I joke around because people, don't realize that I'm in my 40s, and I'm basically.
It's the hairline, man.
Yeah.
The hairline. It's stiff. It hasn't budged. That's why.
I just tell people I don't do meth. So, it's looking younger, but I didn't even have any gray in my hair until I had my daughter, to be honest. I tell you, and you'll find this out eventually, because I know you want to be a dad, and I think you'd be a great dad because you actually listen, which is something people don't do. People want to speak, but they don't want to listen. But I heard about it. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say I'd heard about fatherhood, being stressful and stuff like that, and people making jokes about being gray whenever they became a father. Well, I didn't become a dad until I was 37 years old, and I didn't actually think I could have kids. Remember, my third wife, and I'm just now having kids, and I was not the safest ball player most of my life, so I thought I just was unable to have kids. And so it was, it was a surprise to me, a good surprise. We wanted kids, and we were trying, but I found out the stressful part isn't the fact that you're having kids and that you're stressed because you got to make money, you got to do that. It's not that. It's because you're worried about them. I mean, really? I was so worried because she was so delicate when she was born. I mean, it's just. I remember like the second or third night that we had her home, I just instantly woke up, and it's like, like my intuition to hit, she couldn't breathe, and she started kicking and she couldn't breathe. So I woke up, and it was legitimate. And she almost died. I had to give her the Heimlich and everything at 3 days old.
Wow.
And, but I was always worried about, whether she was something, even now, I mean, she's 5 years old now, and I'm still, now it's not just worried about our safety. It's like bringing them, if you're giving them the right this or that. And we're homeschooling because schools nowadays are just pathetic. I mean, you don't know what they're teaching. Oh, yeah. I mean,
it's sad.
There's teachers that are admitting on camera that they're teaching kids like anarchy and stuff like that, and training them in that way. And I'm like, no, there's no way. Yeah. I'm like, anarchy, socialism, that there's no country that has ever survived that way. I'm like, it just doesn't work. I mean, look at the countries that have it. It's like you're governed by gunpoint. It's like we need to have freedom. And so I'm like, I can't have my daughter. And then the type of people, I mean, guys are just, my daughter's a real cute girl. Her mom's real pretty. She's going to have a hard time. She gets into a public school because guys are just, I mean, I was watching this video earlier today. This girl posted a fitness video, and it showed her when she was anorexic. I mean, she looked bad. Yeah. And she said, this saved my life. And she was talking about working out because it goes to her next photo, which is her now. And she's ripped. She looks really good and everything. 90% of the comments were talking about her getting fake boobs. I'm like, and I couldn't even tell. I didn't even notice. I was looking at everything else. And there was one guy that actually tried to argue like, oh, nobody's sitting here being perverted. This is just what gym people do. They're just, you look at the pectorals. It's like, you don't talk about bra size when you're looking at pectorals on a woman. Yeah. Like, come on, man. You don't talk about implants, but people are so horrible now. Guys are horrible. Girls are horrible. It's like people have no sense of value.
Well, it's the lack of morals, and like that's why even recently I've been trying to promote more religion. Actually, like I tell other guys, like especially on my YouTube channel, I say like I really don't even care what religion you practice, but I think you need some form of religion. So like whatever your father practiced, that's probably the smartest route just to go down. And it's not even about like, oh, it's because these beliefs are the best beliefs. It's about having a strict set of morals to follow. It's like, it's not the best for your soul to have a whole bunch of sex before marriage with thousands of people, hundreds of people, however many. Like, it's not the best to always just be drinking alcohol and like living a life full degeneracy. Like you need some sort of structure. And so it's not even really about the religion itself. It's mostly about having that structure, and people need it.
No, I agree. They've done studies on it, and statistics can be altered. They can be skewed depending on what you want to believe and say. But studies, when they're actually legitimate, now you have to look into the studies too, and I do. But this was a legitimate study. There's been a lot of studies on this that have found that people that have some type of spiritual belief system, they believe in God, they not only live longer, they live happier, they're healthier.
Yeah.
I mean, everything positive, and it's because it gives you this sense of empowerment, this sense of purpose, they're striving for. I don't fall into the thing that, well, people are just designed to be slaves. No, I don't believe that, because like me, my spirituality is not, it's not real strong Christian or strong this or strong that. It goes based on a lot of studies, not basic. And I'm not talking about studies on religion. I'm talking about studies on the soul, the spirituality, stuff like that. Yeah. And it's interesting. And, I do follow Jesus, but because I have a high respect for Jesus, it's like, and I was talking to a buddy of mine that, I told you I had a friend that believes completely opposite of me. He's the guy that literally says, why don't you agree with Antifa? They mean anti-fascist. Are you a fascist? He's that guy. Yeah. But we were having a conversation, and he's an atheist. I mean, not a Gnostic or anything like that, or agnostic. He's an atheist, and he doesn't believe in anything. Okay. And he was a lot of people were sitting there talking because he works in an area where a lot of people are believers. They're Christians. And and they would say, oh, we'll get him switched over. I'm like, everybody's talking about converting people. I'm like, you don't convert people. That's not what we do. That's not that you don't convert somebody. They convert themselves. But anyway, so I went. This is 4 years of people walking around being with this guy, trying to get him to change, and I didn't. But I was having a conversation, and my thing wasn't to convert him or anything. It was like, I want you to know the truth about somebody, because again, people read headlines, they don't look into things. And so his idea of Jesus was because of Christians. And I will tell you, when Christians kept me from Jesus my whole life, and then when I became a Christian, the closer I got to God, the further I got away from Christians, because they are not anything like Jesus,
it's very similar, actually.
Yeah. And so I went in there and to his office, I was like, if people would meet Jesus the way he introduced himself as a man and not the way everybody talks about, I don't know who wouldn't fall in love with the guy. I was like, because he exudes that. I was like, so it doesn't make sense to me when somebody says they don't like Jesus or, stuff like that. Like, it's not that. You just don't like Christians. And so fast forward 3 months, I run into him and he said, I read about that Jesus guy. You were right. He said, I absolutely love that dude, because he did. He cared about people. He didn't. Jesus never healed somebody and said, hey, do you mind if I pray over you also? Or do you mind if I talk to you about my belief system? Or, will you follow me and do that? Nothing. He didn't talk, because as soon as you do that, when you help somebody, as soon as you do that, they know that you're trying to convert them. Jesus literally just helped people, and he never asked them what their belief system was. In fact, most of them were not Jews. He helped a lot of people that weren't Jews, even though he was there for the Jews, and because he was Jewish. But he never did that. He always cared about people. And I think that was a very good lesson. Of course, he did tell me one time, he's like, way before this, he tried telling me a joke and tried to give me the aha moment. Because he believes he's a Democrat socialist or socialist Democrat or something. And he was trying to get at me saying that Jesus was one. And he said, Jesus fed the rich, didn't he? Fed all of them, or fed the poor. Sorry, fed the poor. And I was like, yeah. He said he didn't ask for anything. I was like, no. He said, huh? Jesus taught people like in parables and stuff because he wanted to teach everybody, right? He didn't charge them. I'm like, yeah. He's like, Jesus would heal people, wouldn't require anything of them, right? He's like, I was like, yeah, you're right. He's like, and then he laughed, and his aha moment was, he's like, see, Jesus was a socialist. He was a Democrat. And I said, well, no, because Jesus wasn't the government. Jesus was the church.
Yeah.
I mean, there is a difference. The people should be helping each other. You don't require your government's not there to help you. Your government is to make sure that your rights are protected, that you're defended. But, it was one of those things. I didn't mean to get into the politics of it again, but it was just, it's funny because people don't think beyond what they believe. They just think what they believe. And that's why it's important to research and look into other beliefs and to find a spirituality, because when you do find the morals and values, you start putting a lot more value into yourself.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I think just with everything, it's like down to the core, everyone is very cookie cutter with their beliefs, how they look, how they act, the jobs they have. And obviously the biggest thing that I've learned the past 4 years, ever since doing all of this, is to really explore yourself and not just do a whole bunch of stupid stuff, but really find out your own beliefs, what you truly believe, your sense of style, the business that you really have a passion for, whatever, just sparks that fire inside your soul that makes you want to wake up every day. You should be living towards that. And everything, I think no one really has that spark or that self innovate, however you say it, they never really create themselves, Yeah. They never really become their own person that they want to become.
Most people aren't self-aware.
No.
They don't do any kind of self-reflecting. They just
NPC. Non-player character. It's in a video game, it's the background character, just same thing every single day.
Yeah. It's like they want to play forefront. They want to be up there because we do. And I can say this from personal experience. I mean, it's like having Asperger's. I saw this one movie with Ben Affleck, and he was playing a character with Asperger's. It was called The Accountant. It was really a badass movie. If you have young kids, don't take them, but don't show it to them because it's a very violent movie and stuff. But anyway, he was saying this one thing. This girl asked him, Anna Kendrick, I can't pronounce her name. She's hot. She's my celebrity.
I know who you're talking
about. But she played on.
I think it's Anna Kendrick.
Yeah, Anna Kendrick. She asked him. She's like, "Well, don't you want to be around people?" He's like, "Yeah." He said, "I love being around people. I just, can't." It's wanting to be there, just not knowing how to do it. I've always wanted to be in the crowd and talking to people, and I'm not shy. It's not that. It's I just never knew what to talk about because I only know how to do deep form conversations. I don't know how to do small talk. And people do small talk. They just do, shallow talk. I mean, you've had conversations with me. You would you've gotten better. The older you get, the more you'll talk about deeper stuff. And I think that's really just a maturity thing. A lot of people are like that. But I was never good at just talking about small talk. So I just knew how to make fun of you because that was just, because I couldn't just, I'm like, how's the weather? I don't watch football. I mean, I watch MMA, every once in a while, but it's people are so shallow, but they want to be deep. And so they pretend like they're deep, even though they're actually really shallow thinkers. And they think they're deep because they're talking about a subject that's deep, but they've never looked anywhere besides the surface. And they think they know about something they don't know.
Yeah, it's literally the entire premises of the movie American Psycho. Have you ever seen it?
No.
Oh, you have to watch it with Christian Bale. It's from, I want to say 2000. Very good movie. But it's like these very. Oh no, what were you saying?
No, I was saying I remember the idea of it. I just never saw it. Go ahead.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. It's just like these very high status, wealthy people in New York City, and Patrick Bateman, like he has this life, like he has a nice apartment, he takes really good care of himself, and he's just a complete psychopath. Like he thinks about killing people, murdering people, and he'll like go out to lunch with his friends, and they're just having this fake conversation about, oh, like we need to protect like feminism and the environment, all this stuff. And when inside he's thinking about literally murdering people. And then later throughout the movie, obviously he sort of does some crazy stuff. So it's kind of like that. It's like people don't even care about these things that they're talking about. It's just, they think that that's what they should be saying.
How many people do you know that talk about electric vehicles, like the Teslas and stuff?
Quite a bit.
To save the environment, right?
I cannot stand the climate change stuff.
Yeah, the thing about the save the environment, because I like to deal with facts, and I'll listen to other people's sides because they may be absolutely right. I'm not going to believe it just because there's a bunch of conservatives that believe it and say it. Climate's changed throughout history. I mean, it's always changed. It always will change. Now, whether we're the ones that are causing things or not, I don't know. I'm not a scientist, but like people that to create. Do you know what creates electricity for the most part? Coal. You know, the thing that they say is, destroying the environment. Now they're doing something that's going to create more need for coal. More need for oil and gas. Diesel is creating these electric vehicles. But let's go a little bit further. To create these rechargeable batteries, you need certain minerals. Well, these minerals are only at these mines, these lithium mines and stuff. Did you know 72% of all
the lithium batteries
rechargeables actually come from mines that have human slavery? Like literally, they're using children, to pull out these minerals by hand that are poisonous. That are killing the kids. You see pictures of these that they've got this yellow dust all over them. It's the mineral that's killing them. I mean, you're not only promoting the death of society, the death of Earth because of pollutants by having an electric vehicle. You're also promoting human trafficking and slavery. There are more slaves today than there have ever been in the history of humanity. Not only that, it's actually more profitable. It's more profitable now than it's ever been in the history of humanity. And yet people go about and they'll go buy their Nikes, even though it came from sweatshops. They'll, buy their Apple, even though, it came from these mines and stuff. And they think they're saving the environment and being so uppity about it and telling you that you're a horrible person because you drive a truck, and then you have people like Leonardo DiCaprio flying his private jet to go to a climate change event. I'm like, really? I'm like, how many? I was like, that one flight put more carbon and everything in the atmosphere than anything I've ever done. It's just ridiculous. People don't look into stuff. They just want to judge everything because you're saying something that they don't like. And that's what society cares about, is you saying stuff that they like. You have to say things that they agree with. Otherwise, you shouldn't be talking, because that's hate speech. And nobody can define hate speech. It's like, I personally, I am against BLM and Antifa, but I also believe they have the right to speak. They can talk. I don't care. They can protest. That's fine. I think it's their right.
Well, it's like with anybody, it's like even the opposite in like Kanye West recently. It's like, obviously that's very debatable, but in anybody like that, it's like, if you disagree very strongly, then you should counter the argument. Like, come up, have them speak, have them say their perspective, why they believe these things, rather than just, cancel, and actually have like a proper debate about things.
Yeah. There's a, it was funny. There was what is his name? Famous black comedian, who's been canceled before.
Oh, Dave Chappelle.
Yeah, Dave Chappelle. He was actually had a bit about it, and it was hilarious, but it was true. He said there's two words you never say together, and you know, and it was something like Jew in Hollywood or something like that. He said what statistically speaking, Kanye wasn't wrong. But it was the fact that he said it, and he said it in a way, he's so unapologetic. He says it in a way that it's like he's hating Jews. But that's not what he was trying to do. At least I don't think so. And even if he was, he has the right to say what he wants to say. He wasn't wrong about it. Yeah, most of Hollywood is ran by the Jewish culture. Most businesses are ran by Jews.
It is,
I mean, 40% of the slavery back in the slave days were Jews. But that doesn't mean all Jews are bad. That doesn't mean it's the people. You know, Jews tend to become successful. Why do they become successful? Because they have a very strict background and very big standard of doing things, including money. Jews are taught from an early age it's biblical, how to do your money. You know, and it's that thing that people don't understand. That's why it's not because they're trying to take over the world. And, you know, but you can't be honest, because if you're honest, it sounds bad. And so you know, it's like, you know, 54% of all violent crimes are caused by younger black men. Does that mean that 54%? No. Does that mean they're 30 or more likely? No. But it sounds bad because you don't take it into context that while you're talking about it's in these impoverished areas of the nation, of cities and stuff. And that's why. No. It's not because they're black, but because it sounds bad, you'll get canceled for saying it. You know, heck, I'll probably get canceled for saying it and stuff. But it's a true statistic. You can look it up.
Yeah. Let's not get canceled today. Well, it is almost 2 a.m. my time, Josh. Oh, so I think we should close up the podcast soon, man.
No, I was actually getting ready to. You beat me for it. I told you to tell me when you needed to stop because, I mean.
Oh no, it's cool. No, I was enjoying it, so it's no big deal, man.
No, it's man, we don't really get to talk much. We just, I basically only get to make fun of you now, and which is fun. Don't get me wrong, especially when everybody's sitting there saying all these good things about you, and I'm like, well, yeah, you just look like you need to eat a sandwich. But
okay. You know, I'll send you some videos of me and my girlfriend soon, so that.
Okay, awesome. Do that. Let me. My wife will like, why do you keep watching this guy's girlfriend? I'm like, listen, it's my girlfriend too. All right. You know, he just gets to keep her like every. Like, I don't even know her name. I don't want to know her name actually. You know, it doesn't matter.
Well, it's not. I found out this weekend. I'm in like some Russian group chat of our sex tape. And it's all these Russians have seen me now, and so
that's like I recognize
all these people. Yeah. It's like, where have I seen you?
That is hilarious. If I had a sex tape, nobody would want to watch that, so I don't have to worry about that.
Oh man.
But yeah. Do you have to now? You go into all these other countries. I'm sure you're learning other languages, right?
I'm supposed to. I just don't.
Yeah.
I've literally this girl literally like she met me and then she started learning English like right after she met me, because when we first met 6 months ago, actually, she didn't know any English. Like we spoke through Google Translate. Yeah, we were just like, you look hot, and then we just.
There's so much substance there. It's just amazing.
I know.
Hey, I've known, you know, back when I was younger, when we still had a lot more World War II and stuff, I knew a lot of people that you know met their spouse, and their spouse couldn't speak English, you know, but they were in the military. You know, I have a buddy. He's half Thai. His mom is from Thailand, and that's the way his parents got together. You know, she was from Thailand, couldn't speak English or anything. You know, funny little lady. She's a chef, but she's also like, you know, maybe 4'10", but she's also a Muay Thai kickboxer. Yeah. So I mean, you know, best Muay Thai hot wings I've ever had. But she was mean. But beautiful woman, great woman. But anyways, that's,
I think,
you know.
oh yeah. No, I was just saying, I think a lot of it just has to do with the energy between people. You know, like you can feel like if someone's a good person, like their intentions, without really knowing, like, because people can lie to your face, like tell you exactly what you want to hear, and you know it's BS. You know, so
Yeah.
just being able to speak the language really doesn't mean much. I feel like being able to feel somebody's intentions is much more important.
Yeah, it makes you have to pay attention to your feelings, like your gut feeling,
Yeah.
your the electric. You could literally, if you pay attention close enough, you can literally
Yeah.
feel, like physically feel the energy off
Yeah.
people and stuff. And that's why you have people that are Reiki people, and people think they're woo woo, but honestly, you can feel energy off people because we are producing energy.
Yeah.
That's what we are. That's how you know the soul
Yeah.
really exists, because energy doesn't die. It just transmutes. But yeah, so I think it's great, actually. Yeah, I think it's really great that you do that. And I think a lot of people that I've met like that actually do tend to last longer because they know each other better without words.
Yeah.
And,
it's interesting.
Words get in the way. I mean, listen to me. I mean, you listen to some of my podcasts, I'm tripping over my tongue constantly. I mean, speaking is not my first form of communication. I was not good at it.
Yeah.
But anyway, man, I'm going to let you go.
Neither am I. Yeah.
I need to go to bed, honestly, because I work graveyard. So I got up. Basically, it was like getting up at 2:00 in the morning to do this interview for me. So this is really early.
Well, I appreciate you. I appreciate you being flexible, man.
I really wanted to get you on here because I don't want to just talk to certain groups of people or anything. I want to get all points. And I think you live a really interesting life. I mean, I think you have a lot to offer, and just your experiences has made you grow. I mean, I can tell that. I mean, you're a lot more mature than you were, thinking about creating a pie business, which is still weird. I don't even know what kind of pie it was.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah, ice cream. It was ice cream.
Yeah, you called it something.
Yeah.
I don't remember what it was. It was
custard,
fancy to me.
Frozen custard. Frozen custard.
Yeah. See, I don't even know what that is. I mean, I thought it was a pie.
This is much better. Fuck that.
I'll try that one day. I'll try a custard just for you, just see what it tastes like, because I have no idea what that is. I mean, I think you
have Andy's there,
huh?
Yeah. I think you have Andy's there. Maybe try Andy's one day.
Okay, I'll do that. I'll have my wife go stop by for me one day. But anyways, man, I'm gonna let you go. Keep in touch. Send me them pictures. I'd like to show people what I'm talking about and stuff. When I'm talking about your girlfriend, because
the girlfriend. Important. I'll actually send them. Yeah.
Awesome, appreciate it. I mean, be careful about the videos you send, because I don't need to see everything. So don't send me the same video from the Russian scene.
Just let me know if your wife is around. I'll send it. Don't worry, my face isn't in it. My face isn't in it.
Oh, that's good. Because I wouldn't want to see that. That would make it weird.
That would be weird. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just a whole bunch of random Russian men who have seen my penis.
Yeah. But because that's exactly my wife would. Well, my wife knows me. She knows that I don't care. I told my wife when we first started dating, our first date, she said she was a jealous person. I was like, well, you're going to have a hard time with me. I was like, because I will always check out other women. I mean, I might even talk to them. I'm like, but I'll never cheat on you without your permission. She still hasn't given me permission. But I firmly believe in loyalty. Anyway.
Yeah. For sure. Awesome,
I'll let you go. Name one time a website, like if people want to get a hold of you to check you out and stuff. Maybe they want to get fit and they actually want to look like a supermodel. I don't know why anybody would want to look like a model, but some people do. Some people don't like the beer gut stuff.
The dad bod.
The dad bod.
Well, the fitness site is kaloseek.com. And also on Instagram, Kaloseek on everything. And then also my personal website, Kalos, so KALOSIQUE.
Okay. And what's your personal site?
And then my AustinWayneOfficial.com.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, send me that in a text, and I'll make sure to put it down below in the comments and everything, so people will be able to look you up and stuff and see what I see. And you might get a lot more hits on your videos. I mean, I'm just saying.
Sounds good, man.
But anyways, you have a blessing, bud. If you need anything,
Perfect.
Don't hesitate. I'm always here.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you. Hope you're doing well, and I'll talk to you.
All right, see you, bud.
All right. I'll see you, man.
Thank you for sticking around till the end. Hopefully, I left you either enlightened, lightened, or moved by the experience. If you enjoyed what you saw, could you hit that like and subscribe button right there? And if you didn't, could you still hit that like and subscribe button right there so somebody else has the opportunity to not like what they saw? Thank you.